This is one of those kind of strange topics to approach. It's like, when does sportsmanship come into play at tournaments? And should it be judged? Should it be scored? How do we judge it fairly? How do you have sportsmanship in a tournament and surrender that vote, that mark, those points to someone you just defeated, hoping that they will in turn be sporting and score you appropriately? We have to kind of break down what sportsmanship is. And over the years, I've also kind of lived and died by sportsmanship on both sides. And heck, even this previous year's Adepticon in 2017, my team won Best Sports in the team tournament, 4th overall. Again, so I'm happy that those type of awards exist in certain areas, but how do you do them in a way that is fair? How do you do it in a way that penalizes bullies or actual poor sports in a way that does not unfairly penalize people that just had rules debates? And I think that sometimes, especially when you're coming to tournaments and playing from different areas of the country, someone with a rules interpretation of one way and someone with another way, and them having to have a debate about it, doesn't justify a poor sports vote. Losing the match, losing the game, does not mean that your opponent was a bad sport because they beat you. Unfortunately, this is all very subjective stuff. So how do we put something in place that properly does what we intend it to do? And speaking of intent's one of those things too. It's hard for us to judge. I mean, like, our whole system here in America is about how do you judge the intent of things. And I'm not claiming to have the answer, but I do think that as we move, as we kind of morph our match play system into different things, we need to be aware that sportsmanship is one of the main reasons, and sportsmanship and camaraderie and the spirit of the event is one of the reasons that we come to these major events. And like, I just recently attended the Las Vegas Open, and it was a fabulous event. Frontline Gaming and all the people that put that event together did a wonderful job, and I cannot wait to go back next year. I mean, it was an incredibly fun time, and it's growing. It's so large. It's one of the premier events in the country. But there was some sportsmanship type drama that happens. But it's very rare. It's rare that this stuff happens and affects games and affects your enjoyment of the weekend. But I do think that it's something that we can't lose sight of, because we, as us all kind of participating in this hobby and agreeing to what are really norms of the social contract. That's what we refer to on the podcast all the time, is this social contract. This idea that you are coming together, and while you're playing competitively against an opponent, another human being, you are spending 2 or 3 hours together playing what equates to toy soldiers. I mean, the things that we move around the table, we make our pew pew noises and we roll the dice and stuff, and it should be an enjoyable time on both sides. Maybe we're enjoying a beverage or two or whatever during the time. Now we're all we're playing for the win. We're playing for that glory, our name on a trophy, a fat stack of prizes or something. So I'm not saying people shouldn't be competitive, but how do we make sure that that we've preserved that social contract and those behaviors while we're doing that, while we're going for our opponent's throat? Now, I can also say that, like, fatigue in tournament, as you get deeper and deeper in the tournaments, it's just like being tired in your job. You're more prone to these type of unforced errors in character and on the table. But I don't want to kind of sway this to think that you can't have, like I said, these rules debates. You can't have these things that come up. And if you are wrong about a rule and someone calls you on it, it doesn't make them a bad sport. Kind of the test is, to quote a kind of a Bad Religion song, the test is in the recovery. That's where you pick where how do you do that once you've now had this encounter. This collision, then what do you do next? And I think that and just because you may be on the negative side, I don't want to say losing side, but the losing side of the rules call, doesn't necessarily mean your opponent was a bad sport. It's a culmination of things. So what is the solution? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, because I think that that what we've seen in the past, and this is just on experience, is that you can't put that sportsmanship vote, that score, in the hands of the person you just defeated and have it always come out the right way. I don't know what the percentage of appropriately voted scores for sports is for the people that have been defeated. I mean, I don't know. I know that, you know, you do get people that win in areas that tick sportsmanship, that do get a lot of sportsmanship votes and a lot of favored opponent votes. I don't know. You know, maybe to preserve the integrity of winning over the course of the event, that it's some type of, like, you know, if it's a 6-round tournament, if you get 4 negative opponent votes, then you're not eligible for any of the major prizes. I mean, again, I don't know what the answer is. I just I don't want us, as we move into one of the greatest eras of 40K of all time, that we lose track of what we're actually there doing, and that is, you know, we're competing, but we're also, again, spending that time participating in a hobby that we love. So I know I'm not really answering any questions right now, but I just want to kind of put that out there in the mind space of folks, and maybe we come together and find out what a solution is, and try to find a way that makes it not subjective, because that's the worst thing. We need to find an objective way to reward this time. I don't necessarily want to say penalize the folks that are bad, but to reward those folks that are true, you know, gentlemen and champions of the hobby at the most competitive levels. So maybe just talking about that and coming at this as some a bit of a monologue, we can start to kind of mull around and figure out maybe what a good solution is, and there might not be one. I don't know. I mean, it's very possible that it's up to the individual events to create the culture that they want to reward, and that's fine too. I mean, that is. I mean, you guys are going to hear me say this 100,000 times as you watch the channel, but the people that are taking on the risk of running these events should be allowed to kind of create their own culture and have their own agenda in their events, and that's completely fine. But again, I just wanted to kind of talk about it while this kind of subject is the top of a lot of people's minds, especially if they've been in the match play scene watching some of this stuff. You know, it was kind of exciting to see the drama unfold and what have you on the live stream, but it opens up a much larger conversation. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know how wrong I am on my assessment of what sportsmanship really is and what it means at competitive events, or let me know if you agree. Thanks a lot for watching.